Hello, and welcome back to my humble show. I am your host for today and every other day, the Articulate Thinker. Hopefully, here to bring you art, articles, and articulation straight from Articulation Station, so be sure to like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. Don't forget to turn on those bell notifications while you're at it. If you like it, put a ring on it. Sharing is caring, all that other good stuff. I don't have a lot of time, even less amount of time than usual, and as per usual, I'm on my lunch break, so yeah. I'll see if I can get through this quick, fast, and in a hurry before I scurry off back to work. I just can't help but laugh at the Biden administration right now. I was listening to Karine Jean-Pierre's propaganda briefing earlier, and she was getting wrecked. She was getting roasted over this new announcement by the Biden administration, more specifically by the Department of Homeland Security, about building more border wall, or at least a 20-mile portion, I believe. That following Joe Biden stating with certainty on the way into office that he would not be responsible for the building of any more of the border wall, not a foot more. So now the Biden administration is trying to take two different stances. They're trying to say that the border wall is ineffective, while the Department of Homeland Security, which functions under Joe Biden, essentially, is stating that more border wall is going to be built because it is essential, or something like that. So let's get into that. I have a few clips to play for you. There are many more, especially from the propaganda briefing from today at the White House. I'm going to have to upload some clips, some edits onto my Articulate Thinker News Clips channel later, because I don't have time to pull up anything more right now. I've been pulling up stuff, trying to sort it all out, but I've almost run out of time. So here's a headline from CNN, and this is one more reason to laugh. Though it is a crisis down at the border and not really a laughing matter. I just can't help myself. Check this out. From CNN. Biden says border walls don't work as administration bypasses laws to build more barriers in South Texas. Oh, that's a knee slapper. When you're getting roasted and wrecked by CNN, man, you know you've done something wrong or right, and it just so happens to contradict your claims about the differences between right and wrong from the very beginning of your administration. Oh, yeah. This is something else. One image on the screen, but here is the article. President Joe Biden said Thursday that he doesn't believe border walls work, even as his administration said it will waive 26 laws to build additional border barriers in the Rio Grande Valley amid heightened political pressure over migration. Of course, that pressure is coming even from Democrat governors and mayors across the country. So, yes, the Biden administration has been taking some heat from both sides of the aisle at this point, although they are pretending otherwise, even while this gets underway, courtesy of the Department of Homeland Security and Alexander Mayorkas, who also was a proponent of the not another foot. Promise, if you will. According to a notice posted to the Federal Register Wednesday, construction of the wall will be paid for using already appropriated funds and earmarked specifically for physical border barriers. The administration was under a deadline to use them or lose them, but the move comes at a time when a new surge of migrants is straining federal and local resources and placing heavy political pressure on the Biden administration to address a sprawling crisis. And the notice cited highly illegal entry. So this doublespeak from the Biden administration, etc., is nothing new. Of course, they've been saying time and time and again, secure border, broken system. Secure border, broken system. Secure border, broken system. Time and time and again, they say it. They repeat it ad nauseum, as if to gaslight us. Well, this is really no different. I mean, they're going to say, we had no choice, which just makes them look really weak That's weak sauce right there when they're saying, oh, we're only doing this because we have no choice. Especially, well, for one, because the statement by the Department of Homeland Security is saying that it is necessary to do this because wall is needed right now. Barriers are needed right now. And, because, like I said, it's just weak in general. After the Biden administration has gone above and beyond in attempts to push through other unconstitutional orders having to do with COVID mandates or vaccine mandates, student loan forgiveness, so on and so forth. And they are in favor of things such as codification, national codification of Roe v. Wade, and any number of things that they would push to the Supreme Court and through the Supreme Court if they could. They would. But then when it comes to this, and after all this time of refraining from using these funds, these appropriated funds, they're suddenly like, oh, we have to use them now. But they want you to believe it's not because of the pressure, including by Democrats, to do something, which is usually their message, about the border crisis. Yeah. Sprawling crisis, and the notice cited high illegal entry. There's a lot of that, that's for sure. Millions upon millions. Biden, who as a candidate vowed that there will not be another foot, not another foot, of border wall constructed on his watch, defended the decision to reporters Thursday as saying that he tried to get the money appropriated for other purposes, but was unsuccessful. Of course, Karine Jean-Pierre took this talking point to the propaganda briefing, which I will continue referring to as such. And after repeatedly saying, well, the money was appropriated, and this president attempted to get Congress to appropriate it for other purposes. She couldn't specify which purposes those were and when those attempts at talking Congress into reappropriating those funds even took place. That was a mouthful. I felt like I was losing my train of thought halfway through that. Hopefully that made sense. I'm trying to read while speaking. I'll answer one question on the border wall, and this is back to Biden's press conference, which wasn't an actual press conference because he doesn't really do those things. The border wall, the money was appropriated for the border wall. I tried to get them reappropriated. Or I tried to get them, as in Congress, to reappropriate it, to redirect that money. They didn't. They wouldn't. And in the meantime, there's nothing under the law other than they have to use the money for what it was appropriated. I can't stop that, Biden told reporters in the Oval Office. So as per usual, the Biden administration wants to blame everything on Congress. He comes into office talking about how I'm the unifying president. I can bring everyone together. I can get things done. And then every time something doesn't get done, or he turns out to be a hypocrite on something, or he's just the epitome of dereliction of duty, or anything of that nature, he says, well, it's because of Congress, or it's because of those other guys, or because of the law in this case. And do tell me of another time when the Biden administration has said, we can't do this because the law is in the way. It's the law that's stopping us. It's clearly not stopping the illegal immigrants, is it? So I'm just pointing out that it's interesting that the Biden administration, especially in the propaganda briefing, is portraying this message, relaying this message of, we have to follow the law. Surely you don't expect us to break the law. But then if you ask them about all of the breaking of the law that's happening down at the border, they're just like, I mean, they facilitated this with the surge the border approach. And now. All right, I'm rambling too much. I have stuff to get through before I have to go back to work, which I will have to do momentarily. Asked whether he believes the border wall works, Biden answered, no. And once again, he said there's nothing under the law other than they have to use the money for what it was appropriated for. He says he can't stop it. So he says he can't stop what's going on, and also that what's going on isn't even effective. So that's why I call that weak sauce. If you're like, well, it's not effective, but I can't stop it. Okay. An all right message at best, an all right excuse at best. At best, Border Patrol reported nearly 300,000 entries or encounters in the Rio Grande Valley sector between last October and August, according to federal data. Last month, Border Patrol apprehended more than 200,000 migrants crossing the U.S.-Mexico border, the highest total this year. So remember the expiration of Title 42, and the Biden administration was bragging about how effective what they were doing was? Okay, did that end? If they were taking the credit then, are they going to take the blame now? I don't think so. That's how it goes in politics. Always want the credit, never the blame. Despite the buck supposedly stopping with the big guy, Biden has been plagued by issues on the border since his first month in office, when the U.S. faced a surge of unaccompanied migrant children that caught officials flat-footed. Over the last 2 years, his administration has continued to face fierce pushback from Republicans and, at times, Democrats over his immigration policies. But the Democrats who are pushing back are the Democrats who run sanctuary cities, the Democrats who said, everyone is welcome here, until everyone showed up. And of course, now those same Democrats are like, everyone is not welcome here. But hey, that's no worse than Kamala Harris flying over the border to go into foreign countries and say in a very shaky voice, do not come, do not come. After Joe Biden himself had said, search the border, of course. Just too many ironies and hypocrisies to point out, and just absolute absurdity in general. But a new surge of migrants has placed additional pressure on the federal resources and tested Biden's latest border policies only months after going into place, prompting fresh criticism from Republicans and concern within the administration over a politically delicate issue. Yeah. Migration along the southern border has been a relentless focus of the Republican presidential primary field, blah, 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 blah. And leading Democrats, including the mayors of New York City and Chicago, have begun publicly demanding stronger efforts by the federal government to provide resources to accommodate arrivals, spending existing funds. And you know what? Before I get into the nitty-gritty of this, if I even have time to do that, spending existing funds and engagement with Mexico. Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador said constructing a new border wall is a regression that won't resolve the immigration promise or problem, which is caused in large part because of Joe Biden's promises. During his daily press conference, he criticized right-wing Republicans for pressing the immigration and drug trafficking problem for political purposes. Okay. Interesting how, as to be expected, a CNN article starts with criticisms of Joe Biden, but ends with criticisms of Republicans. That's how it always seems to go. But I believe that Obrador was also criticizing the Biden administration to a certain extent because he is going back on his promises, whether it's because the law is in his way or not. No, it's clear that they don't want to push the law too much on this one because of how much of a crisis the border is. So here's something random, just a random press release from the Department of Homeland Security. DHS investigation leads to 3 indictments against China-based chemical manufacturing companies and employees for fentanyl trafficking. This is kind of random, doesn't have much to do with the topic, except for the fact that it has to do with the flow of fentanyl. So I just wanted to pull up this one phrase, effectiveness of the Biden-Harris administration. So the effectiveness or alleged effectiveness of the Biden-Harris administration is baked into everything that everyone connected to the Biden administration puts out, Department of Homeland Security included. As you can see there, effectiveness of the Biden administration, or the Biden-Harris administration, though Harris is nowhere to be seen on this matter, is she? Despite supposedly being the border czar. the border bizarre. You know, this despite this, and this is the other announcement by the Department of Homeland Security. Here's a PDF, as you can see. Department of Homeland Security, determination pursuant to Section 102 of the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act of 1996 as amended. Agency, Office of the Secretary. Alejandro Mayorkas, of course. Action, notice of determination. Summary, the Secretary of Homeland Security has determined pursuant to law that it is necessary to waive certain laws, despite the Biden administration's claims this is all according to the law. They're literally waiving certain laws in order to make this happen. And what is this exactly? Well, it is necessary. Necessary, says Alejandro Mayorkas and his colleagues, to waive certain laws, regulations, and other legal requirements in order to ensure the expeditious construction of barriers and roads in the vicinity of the international land border in Starr County, Texas. In Texas, where this has been especially bad. Keep in mind that Governor Abbott, or, the authorities in his state have been putting up buoys, which have received a lot of criticism by the Biden administration. Buoys in the water to attempt to prevent illegal crossings. So this is after that. And yeah, the word necessary is being used here, which seems to imply that this is being done because it is efficient, or at least effective to a certain extent. While Joe Biden, of course, claims the contrary. And Karine Jean-Pierre is left to say whatever it is she's trying to say. Okay. In April, DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said a border wall was off the table. We're not going to construct more wall that costs billions and billions of dollars. Well, I added an extra billions there, but you get it. That is immovable. All right, so he said the money is immovable. I'll play this clip. What changed? Loading. Did I lose internet connection? What is going on? What's going on? Hold on. All right, let's try this again.
Is there anything that's off the table that you won't do to secure the border?
Well, the president, as I think you know very well, has said we are not going to construct more wall that costs billions and billions of dollars, that is immovable.
All right, so clearly they're going to say, well, we're only doing this because we're talking about appropriated funds. We're forced into this. We have no choice. Well, he still is calling it necessary. And they're bypassing laws. They're jumping through hoops to make this happen right here, right now, under pressure. And they could continue to push the limits of this. Take this to the courts, whatever the case may be, if they really wanted to. That's precisely what they've been doing for all this time. Even what they were doing back then in April. So their credibility is just completely shot here. But here's what's going on. This from Colin Rugg. The last clip was from RNC Research. Breaking. The Biden administration says there is an immediate need to waive regulations and build the border wall as the migrant crisis spirals out of control. Of course, those were the words of Mayorkas, not Biden. Biden says that the wall is not effective. So now the question is, who's right between the two of you? Remarkable. 4 years ago, this was racist. Racist. Now they're advocating for it. And more statements from the PDF file I showed you. I'll go ahead and read this much. There is presently an acute and immediate need, they say. And this is in that PDF. Right here. Immediate need. So it's not just because it's appropriated funding. This is a need, they say, for a wall or a barrier. A racist barrier. Right. Need to construct physical barriers and roads in the vicinity of the border of the United States in order to prevent unlawful entries into the United States in the project areas pursuant to sections 102A, 102B of the Illegal Migration or Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act of 1996. Mayorkas said in an announcement, gee, maybe they shouldn't have sold all the border wall parts. I mean, they were basically paying not to build the wall, so now this. Here's another clip, if it loads. Not sure what's going on with my video quality, but yeah, this is the surge you requested. This is the surge you're getting. Okay, what else do I have here? What else do I have time for? I've been commentating more than I planned to do. President Biden assures the press that the decision to resume construction of Trump's border wall was not his. More weak sauce. They told him he had no choice. Who is in charge of the United States? Asks Amuse.
Answer one question on the border wall. The border wall, the money was appropriated for the border wall. I tried to get them to reappropriate, to redirect that money. They didn't. They wouldn't. And in the meantime, there's nothing under the law other than they have to use the money for what was appropriated.
The talking point. And that's the talking head right there.
Under the law other than they have to use the money for what was appropriate.
Have to.
I can't stop that.
Okay. So, congrats on your latest talking point of. Let me play it one more time.
Answer one question. I can't stop that. 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 Answer one.
Okay. He can't stop that. We got that. He don't got that, but we got that. Man. Broken clocks. President Biden is giving Congress all the credit for the resumption of the construction of Trump's border wall. He says it is Congress's fault. Good work, Congress. Great point. Also by Amuse and the New York Post here, who points out that yes, he's really getting his whiskers twisted here, because consider this. If what is built does help slow the flow, they're going to then try to take credit for it, even though they are smack dab in the middle of blaming Congress for failure to reappropriate the funds that are going into this. So there's all of that, and then some. Try to keep up with it. Try to keep up with the narrative. It just keeps changing. Also, this from Joe Biden in the same non-press conference, pointed out by Matt Schlapp. A day after his own DHS secretary said we needed a border wall, Joe Biden said he doesn't believe a border wall works. It's time the left stops playing politics with the lives of the American people. Our border communities need immediate help.
Do you believe the border wall works?
No. Okay, thank you.
And one more time.
Do you believe the border wall works?
No. Okay, thank you.
And then he sits there just slyly smiling at the press. Smile without the wave. What a joke. And like I said, so many clips to play of KJP, but you're not going to see much of it here in this show. But here you go. Here's a really short one.
Border walls ineffective. Why is the Homeland Security Secretary saying that it's necessary to prevent unlawful entries into the United States?
I have not seen that full statement. I know.
Wait a second. She says she hasn't even seen the full statement, or at least the full statement, by the Department of Homeland Security. How convenient. Because if the press continues, as they did, to point out the contradiction between Biden and Mayorkas, then you can just say, well, I haven't seen the full statement, so I can't comment any further on that. That's how it goes. Not very well informed, or either she's just She's either ignorant or willfully ignorant.
If the border wall is ineffective, why is the Homeland Security Secretary saying that it's necessary to prevent unlawful entries into the United States?
I have not.
Oh, if the border wall is ineffective, why is the DHS secretary saying that it is necessary and that there is a need for it to prevent unlawful entries into the United States?
Not seen that full statement. I know. I hear you. I'm just saying I've not seen his full statement on that. What I can speak to is for the president. The president's been very clear that he doesn't believe it's effective. He answered that question of your colleague. That's what I can speak to. That's what we're going to talk about. And we've actually said there are smarter ways and more effective ways in dealing with this.
Whenever she's using the word clear, it's clear that they're not being clear. I've noticed that. It's almost an admission. From Colin Rugg, the Biden administration is trying to claim two things at once. A border wall won't work. That's one. And for two, we need to build a border wall to prevent unlawful entries. Wokeism takes away all critical thinking capabilities. During the White House press conference, or propaganda briefing, as I say, Peter Doocy asked exactly how both of these claims could be made at the same time. And the quotes are here, but I'll just go ahead and play the clip. 28 seconds long.
If you have to build a border wall, but you don't think that it's going to work, then once it's done, are you just going to tear it down?
I'm not getting into hypotheticals from here. I'm just telling you what I can tell you from here. The facts are that DHS is complying with the law. This is from this was under fiscal year 2019 under Republican leadership, and DHS is required to do this. The president asked multiple times of Congress to reappropriate. They did not, and we're not complying by the law. Thanks, everybody.
Oh, we're just complying by the law. Not going to get into hypotheticals, just patheticals. Sorry that the audio quality and video quality is all over the place. I'm in a race against time right now. Have a few more clips to go, and then I got to go, even though I had some articles pulled up as well. In October 2021, Karine Jean-Pierre said a border wall doesn't work and is not effective policy. Yesterday, the Biden administration declared an immediate need for a border wall in South Texas. Another clip from RNC Research. They have all the clips. Baby clip.
The president's nominee for lead Customs and Border Protection said in a Senate confirmation hearing yesterday that he supported the continued use of Title 42. He also indicated it was his view that certain sections of the border wall should be finished. Does the president agree?
Well, as you know, we have said that I have to look at the comments. I have not seen them, so I want to make sure I read it within context. But we have talked about the border wall here in general as a way that it's been used to close the border, and we feel that it is a policy that doesn't work, and it's not just us. Experts have said that the border wall is not an effective policy.
Which experts exactly? Which ones? Tell us, please tell us. Tell us, wise old sage. Spokesperson you. I mean, they say that the border wall is not effective. She still is saying that. Despite this notice being put out, this announcement being put out by the Department of Homeland Security, DHS. But of course, they do think that walls or barriers, whatever the kids are calling them these days, of course they think they're effective. Why do you think it was important to have a barrier, a wall put up around, well, certain portions of D.C. on Inauguration Day? Because they didn't want another certain type of surge. Interesting. So they're effective only when they're protecting them, but not when it comes to letting illegal immigrants in. From Amuse, racism? The Biden regime has announced there is an immediate need to complete the border wall after paying millions to stop its completion. Will the mainstream media describe the effort as an act of racism? Racism? Yeah, I'd like to know, because, yeah, Joe Biden was along for the ride in terms of the narrative that the border wall was racist or xenophobic. Of course, in the one time he went down to the border to actually visit the border, the one time in 50 years, which is far less times than he went to visit Hunter Biden's business partners. But yes, aside from that, when he did finally go down to the border, he got his photo taken in front of the border wall as a sign of strength and security, despite it being racist and xenophobic. So, again, more lack of clarity. Not clear at all. They are not clear. Biden administration waives 26 federal laws to allow border wall construction in South Texas. Yeah. We know. An old clip from Joe Biden in 2020 saying there will not be another foot of wall constructed in his administration.
No, there will not be another foot of wall constructed on my administration. Number one. Number two, what I'm going to focus on, the fact is that somebody in this group written a lot about the border.
Okay, enough of that. This is a repetitious clip. This is the same clip. I can go ahead and skip past it. But Wesley Hunt says, after 3 years of policies designed to import millions of illegal aliens into this country, the same president who said he'd never construct another mile of border wall, another foot, has now been compelled to do it. And he says, he doesn't have much of a choice. What was once considered xenophobic is now the policy of the Biden administration. When your poll numbers are in the 30s, I guess anything is possible. However, I don't know that the border wall is going to be all that effective if they're just going to let them come around it and flow freely into the country regardless. I mean, people are just walking up to the border securities at this point, being processed quickly and sent off to various parts of the country. Since it's not racist to bus or fly migrants around to different parts of the country, it's not racist to do that as long as it's the Biden administration who's doing that. But if a Republican governor does that, how dare they? Racist. And speaking of Republican governors, Greg Abbott uploaded this clip yesterday. Texas border wall construction continues. But seeing as how Donald Trump didn't actually have all that much built, or at least not all that many new portions built, it would be even more hilarious, ironically hilarious, if if this kept up and the Biden administration ended up building more wall than the Trump administration. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying, can you imagine? Just imagine it. Okay, headline from Fox News. Mayorkas cites immediate need to waive regulations, build border wall in Texas as immigration surges. And from NBC News, Biden admin waives federal laws to allow border wall construction in Texas. Yeah, I didn't really have any time to break down the legalities of it. Maybe I'll do that later. But hey, I think I've covered plenty. With that being said, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Keep in touch. Keep in tune. New content is coming soon. Peace.